Welcome back. We are proceeding from where we've left. The next verse will be Judges chapter 13 from 1 to 25. Okay. And this is now the story of Samson, the conception of Samson. Chapter 13, verse 1. Okay. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. See the number 40 again. And there was a certain, so you get someone getting peace for 40 years and someone getting, torment 40 years. So this one is 40 years in the land of the Philistines. Verse 2, and there was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren, and bare not. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman, and said unto her, Behold, now thou art barren, and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive, and bear a son. Now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine, nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing. So she has this encounter with the angel of the Lord, which now activates her to give birth to Solomon. We will see how it goes. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite unto the kingdom of unto God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, A man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told he me his name. Verse 7, but he said unto me, Behold, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and now drink no wine nor strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb, to the day of his death. From conception to the day of his death. Verse 8, Manoah now comes in, joins the whole activation. Then Manoah entreated the Lord and said, O my Lord, let the man of God which thou didst send come again unto us, and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born. It is good that this man now believed. And God hearkened to the voice of Manoah, and the angel of God came again unto the woman as she sat in the field. But Manoah, her husband, was not with her. Verse 10, and the woman made haste and ran, and showed her husband, and said unto him, Behold, the man hath appeared unto me, that came unto me the other day. And Manoah arose and went after his wife, and came to the man, and said unto him, Art thou the man that speakest unto the woman? And he said, I am. Okay. Verse 12, and Manoah said, Now let thy words come to pass. How shall we utter the child, and how shall we do unto him? Verse 13, and the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, Of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. Verse 14, and she may not eat of anything that cometh of the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe. Verse 15, and Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, I pray thee, let us detain thee until we shall have made ready a kid for thee. Verse 16, and the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, Thou detain me, I will not eat of the bread, and if thou wilt offer a burnt offering, thou must offer it unto the Lord. For Manoah knew not that he was an angel of the Lord. Verse 17, and Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, okay, What is thy name, that when thy sayings come to pass, we may do thee honor? And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Why askest thou thus after my name, seeing it is secret? Verse 19. So Manoah took a kid with a meat of offering, and offered it upon a rock unto the Lord. And the angel did wondrously, and Manoah and his wife looked on. When you have an encounter with God, there's an offering that goes with it, for thanksgiving, for all that. We'll teach more about it. Verse 20. For it came to pass, when the flame went up toward heaven from off the altar, that the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame, inside the flame of the altar. And Manoah and his wife looked on it, and fell on their faces to the ground. But the angel of the Lord did no more appear to Manoah and to his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was an angel of the Lord. And Manoah said unto his wife, We shall surely die, because we have seen God. But he was told. Verse 23. But his wife said unto him, If the Lord were pleased to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering and a meat offering at our hands, neither would he have showed us all these things, nor would us at this time have told us such these things as this. Okay. The night goes now to verse 24 and 25, which says, And the woman bare a son, and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him from beginning. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at times in the camp of Dan, between Zorah and Eshtaol. The Spirit of the Lord began to move him. Now he is activated. He can do these wonders that you will see and hear about the story of Samson. That's that. Next one, we are going to look at the book of Ruth, chapter 4, between 13 and 22, where book of Ruth. Ruth is just directly before Samuel. There's always a confusion between Ruth and Naomi, who gets to. Yeah. Now, in the book of Ruth, chapter 4, we are told about the story of Boaz and Ruth. The whole story of how they met starts from the first chapters, but here I want to see this encounter that activates both Boaz and Ruth to give us King David. So verse 13 says, So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. Period. And when he went unto her, the Lord gave her conception, and she bare a son. This verse says something interesting. The Lord gave her conception. Conception is something that is from God. You want a child, children come from God directly, like that. Okay? So this is an encounter from God. An activation, if you may. Verse 14, And the women said unto Naomi, Blessed be the Lord, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher of thine old age. For thy daughter-in-law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, hath borne him. And Naomi took the child, and laid it in her bosom, and became nurse unto it. And the women her neighbors gave it a name, saying, There is a son born to Naomi, and they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. Obed would be a short form of Obadiah, meaning the servant of Jehovah, as per the description which I'm being given here. Verse 18 to 22, now you will get the importance and the heaviness of this activation, the Spirit of God in these two people, because through these people we get King David, and there's a whole lineage of him. And through King David, through him, the King David and Bathsheba, you'll get Solomon and Nathan, who would play relevant roles in the New Testament. All right. So verse 18 says, Now these are the generations of Phares. Phares begat Hezron. Hezron begat Ram, Ram begat Aminadab, and Aminadab begat Nahashon, and Nahashon begat Salmon, and Salmon begat Boaz, and Boaz begat Obed, and Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David. That's the story. Okay, the next one we are going to jump into 1 Samuel chapter 1. Let's see now the story of Elkanah and Hannah, Eli and Samuel, of whom I am named after. Samuel the seer. Let's see. Verse 12 says, you all know about the story of Elkanah, Hannah, and Peninnah, Hannah's prayer at the temple. This is now an encounter between Hannah and Eli. Right? Verse 12 says, and it came to pass as she continued, I think we're recording well, and now, and it came to pass as she continued praying before the Lord that Eli marked her mouth. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken. Verse 14, and Eli said unto her, how long wilt thou be drunken? But put away thy wine from thee. Verse 15, and Hannah answered and said, no, my Lord, I am a woman of sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. We'll expound more on this when I reach to these parts in my series of videos, so we can teach you more about the humility of Hannah and all these things. Verse 16, count not thy handmaid for a daughter of Belial, for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief have I spoken hitherto. Then Eli answered and said, go in peace, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him. Verse 18 says, and she said, let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight. So the woman went her way and did it, and her countenance was no more sad. That's the interaction between Eli. But you see there's a word spoken here in verse 17, where Eli is answering, and then Eli answered and said, go in peace, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked of him. Eli here is the priest. He has just activated or he has just made a prayer or supplication for and declared something unto Hannah, which will now keep the ball rolling now. Okay. Let's jump to verse 24 to 28 of the same chapter, where now Samuel has been born, and now they're taking him to Eli. Verse 24 says, and when she had weaned him, she took him up with her, with 3 bullocks and 1 ephah of flour, and a bottle of wine, and brought him unto the house of the Lord in Shiloh, and the child was young. And they slew a bullock, and brought the child to Eli. And she said, O my Lord, as thy soul liveth, my Lord, I am the woman that stood by thee here, praying unto thee, the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord hath given me my petition, which I asked of him. Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord. And he worshipped the Lord there. Alright. I thought of including this part because now you have to link, is an activation of the sort for now Samuel by virtue of that event. Right? So now we jump to 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 18 to 21. Now Samuel's ministry is beginning. But Samuel ministered before the Lord being a child, girded with a linen ephod. Moreover, his mother made him a little coat and brought it to him from year to year, when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. And Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife and said, the Lord give thee seed of this woman for the loan which is lent to the Lord. And they went unto their own home. So now, remember this is the firstborn for this lady called Hannah. And they have taken the child as, it's like a loan. So they have taken Samuel to the temple. But now she was left without a child, right? So verse 21 now says, and the Lord visited Hannah so that she conceived and bare 3 sons and 2 daughters. And the child Samuel grew before the Lord. There's another encounter here for Hannah. And Elkanah, if I may say. There's an activation now. From this encounter, you get other children. And then this changes the whole story for these 2 people, which was very important for me to to illustrate. We're going to jump to 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 1 to 21. Yes, a call from the Lord. So here, Samuel is growing and he has to be activated himself. The story now shifts from the parents to Samuel. And now verse 3, chapter 3, verse 1 says, "And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli, and the word of the Lord was precious in those days. There was no open vision." This is a very important verse to note. Israel was quite a sinful nation, up and down. And in these days, even Eli himself would attest to this, because it says, "And the word of the Lord was precious in those days." There were no open visions. The place was dry, and it's because of so much sin. The face of God. People don't see the face of God because of not leading the holy life. Okay. So, "And the child Samuel ministered unto the Lord before Eli, and the word of the Lord was very precious in those days." Okay. There was no open vision. There were no prophets. Verse 2, "And it came to pass at that time, when Eli was laid down in his place, and his eyes began to wax dim, that he could not see." Even Eli now is getting old. And what is this now? "And ere the lamp of God went out in the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was, and Samuel was laid down to sleep." So even the light was going off. Verse 4, "That the Lord called Samuel, and he answered, Here I am." Verse 5, "And he ran unto Eli and said, Here am I, for thou callest me. And he said, I called not, lie down again. And he went and lay down." Even Samuel didn't know. Even Eli could not at first. You understand? He couldn't expect it. Verse 6, "And the Lord called yet again Samuel. And Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And he answered, I called not, my son, lie down again." Verse 7, "Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord." You understand? "Neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him." He was just someone with the name Samuel. But he was being taught in the temple the ways of God. But he was not yet activated to do wonders. Now see what happens. Verse 8, "And the Lord called Samuel again the third time. And he arose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, for thou didst call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called the child." It took 3 times. Now, verse 9 is interesting. "Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go, lie down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place." Verse 10, "And the Lord came and stood." See, "And the Lord came and stood and called, as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth." Verse 11, "And the Lord said to Samuel, Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of everyone that heareth it shall tingle. In that day I will perform against Eli all things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I begin, I will also make an end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his sons made themselves vile, and restrained them not. And therefore I have sworn unto the house of Eli that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice nor offering forever." Verse 15, "And Samuel lay until the morning, and opened the doors of the house of the Lord. And Samuel feared to show Eli the vision." Why? It was negative. Negative judgment here. Then Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. And he answered, Here am I. Very humble and politely and obedient. And he said, Now is a different Samuel. And he said, What is the thing that the Lord hath said unto thee? I pray thee, hide it not from me. God do so to thee, and more also, if thou hide anything from me of all the things that he said unto thee. Wanted to put some oath here. Verse 18, and Samuel told him every whit, and hid nothing from him. And he said, It is the Lord, let him do what seemeth him good. It's quite an interesting feedback here from Eli. I would have expected him to take the route of, in an apologetic route, so that whatever these things were to come, maybe he could have petitioned God to do something. But I am reading some sort of arrogance here, because, and he said, It is the Lord, let him do what seemeth him good. Verse 19, and Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him. Simple. And did let none of his words fall to the ground. So he was now with the Lord. He's no longer Samuel. He's no longer Samuel, the Samuel that was before. Now he's a different Samuel. Why? Because the Lord was with him, so he's not alone. And verse 20 says, And all Israel from Dan even to Beersheba knew that Samuel was established to be a prophet of the Lord. People will know, because it become weird in some good sense. You'll do things that are impossible in a normal manner of life. Okay? And the Lord appeared again in Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of the Lord. You will see now what Samuel does in the story of Eli and all that from there. Next, I'm going to jump 1 Samuel chapter 9 from verse 1 to 27. You will see now the activation of Saul to be chosen as king. And this is quite interesting. This is when Israel was looking for a king. Okay, chapter 9, 1 Samuel chapter 9 verse 1. Now there was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Bechorath, the son of Aphia, a Benjamite, a mighty man of power. It's a descendant of Benjamin. And he had a son whose name was Saul, a choice young man and a goodly, very goodly. We'll see how good. And there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. From his shoulders and upward he was higher than any of the people. Tall and goodly. I won't say the other words. Verse 3. And the asses, these are donkeys, and the asses of Kish, Saul's father, were lost. And Kish said to Saul his son, Take now one of the servants with thee, and arise and go seek the asses, the donkeys. Verse 4. And he passed through Mount Ephraim, and passed through the land of Shalisha, but they found them not. Then they passed through the land of Shalim, and there they were not. And he passed through the land of the Benjamins, but they found them not. And when they were come to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant that was with him, Come and let us return, lest my father leave caring for the asses and take thought of us. I can't wait to reach this part of my series of videos, so we can expand on this very important. Donkeys getting lost, so that one can encounter a prophet. And the role of the servant. And why it is important for you to listen to your servants and treat them well. Because there is an advice from a servant. Very important for leaders. Okay, because leadership, you without the servants, you're not a leader. Who will you lead? It is a whole team thing, it's a component of people that make you at the top. Then without the people, then you're alone. Can't lead. You're leaderless if you are just alone. You understand? Yeah, kind of scenario. All right, verse 6 and 27. Yeah, verse 6. And he said unto him, Behold, now there is in this city a man of God, and he is an honorable man. All that he said cometh surely to pass. Now let us go thither, peradventure he can shew us our way that we should go. Also very interesting, the servants know a lot of secrets and a lot of solutions for the leaders. Again, it's very good to listen to your servants. Because you see same story here with Naaman. In the books of, we will see them. Is it Kings or Chronicles there? We'll see them. Verse 7 says, Then Saul to his servant, But behold, if we go, what shall we bring the man? For the bread is spent in our vessels, and there is not a present to bring to the man of God. What have we? Again, never you visit the man of God empty-handed. Or don't go to the presence of God empty-handed. Verse 8, And the servant answered Saul again and said, Behold, I have here at hand the fourth part of a shekel of silver, that will I give to the man of God to tell us our way. Verse 9, and it's not a bribe, it's an offering, and that kind of thing. Verse 9, Before time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, thus he spake, Come and let us go to the seer, for he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer. That's Samuel. Then said Saul to his servant, Well said, come, let us go. So they went unto the city where the man of God was. Verse 11, And as they went up the hill to the city, they found young maidens going out to draw water, and said unto them, Is the seer here? And they answered them and said, He is, behold, he is before you. Make haste now, for he come today to the city. For there is a sacrifice of the people today in the high place. As soon as ye be come into the city, ye shall straightway find him, before he go up to the high place to eat. For the people will not eat until he come, because he doth bless the sacrifice, and afterwards they eat that be bidden. Now therefore get you up, for about this time ye shall find him. Very well. Verse 14, And they went up unto the city, and when they came into the city, behold, Samuel came out against them, for to go up to the high place. Now I want to open your minds of the possibilities of prophets, true prophets as such. Excuse. Samuel here knew that Israel wanted a king. If you look at if you look at First Samuel chapter 8 verse 22, and the Lord said to Samuel, Hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, Go ye every man unto his own. When the Israelites were looking for a king, God has already told Samuel to hearken unto their request and give them a king. So Samuel knew that the king is coming, and definitely the mind of God is in Samuel. So Samuel can even see where the king is coming from and who it is. Samuel already knows. But here is Saul who doesn't. But Saul is being directed to Samuel through donkeys in the servant. But Saul cannot go to any other place except here to be activated. So much lessons you can pick from this event. We will delve into this when we reach this part. I hope you understand. So here Samuel knows, Saul doesn't. Okay? The servant is being directed. Very important. So that's why prophets are important. Verse 14, And they went up into the city, and when they were come into the city, behold, Samuel came out against them, for to go up to the high place. Verse 15, Now the Lord had told Samuel in his ear a day before Saul came, saying, do you see now? Verse 16, tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines, for I have looked upon my people, because their cry is come unto me. Again, every time the people cry to God, God will always do something. A prophet will be sent. When you look at Proverbs chapter 21 or something like that, verse 11, if I'm not wrong, you'll see about the hearts of kings being in the hands of God. So you're moving them like waters, kind of thing. So, and verse 17, and when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said unto him, behold, the man whom I spake to thee of, this same shall reign over my people. So he's a selected person. You see, he's already selected. But Saul doesn't know. But Samuel knows. Why? Because God has spoken to Samuel, the prophet or the seer. You see? Verse 18, then Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate and said, tell me, I pray thee, where the seer's house is. Verse 19, and Samuel answered Saul and said, I am the seer. Go up before me unto the high place. Verse 18, then Saul drew near to Samuel in the gate and said, tell me, I pray thee, where the seer's house is. You see, even Saul doesn't know Samuel. Verse 19, and Samuel answered Saul and said, I am the seer. Go up before me into the high place, for ye shall eat with me today, and tomorrow I will let thee go, and will tell thee all that is in thy heart. You give him the story of what he came to look for. Understand? So we are verse 20 now. And as for thine asses that were lost 3 days ago, set not thy mind on them, for they are found. You've found the solution now. And on whom is all the desire of Israel? Is it not on thee and on all thy father's house? And Saul answered and said, Am not I a Benjamite of the smallest? Again, you see, Saul here is taking the route of Gideon, the smallest of the tribes of Israel, and my family the least of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin. Wherefore then speakest thou as to me? So to me. Verse 22. And Samuel took Saul and his servant and brought them into the parlor, and made them sit in the chiefest place among them that were bidden, which were about 30 persons. And Samuel said unto the cook, Bring the portion which I gave thee, of which I said unto thee, Set it by thee. Verse 24. And the cook took up the shoulder and that which was upon it, and set it before Saul. And Samuel said, Behold that which is left. Set it before thee and eat, for unto this time hath it been kept for thee, since I said, I have invited the people. So Saul did it with Samuel that day. Verse 25. And when they were come down from the high place into the city, Samuel communed with Saul upon the top of the house. Verse 26. And they rose early, and it came to pass about the spring of the day that Samuel called Saul to the top of the house, saying, Up, that I may send thee away. And Saul arose, and they went out, both of them, he and Samuel abroad. And as they were going down to the end of the city, Samuel said to Saul, Bid the servant pass on before us. And he passed on, but stand thou still a while, that I may show thee the word of God. Listen. Let's just jump next to the next verse. 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 1 to 26. So now this is the process of activation of Saul, because it's very important. He's a key figure before David, because the first king of Israel. Then Samuel took a veil of oil and poured it upon his head and kissed him and said, Is it not because the Lord hath anointed thee to be captain over his inheritance? He's now being activated. Here he's not being baptized, but he's now being activated by way of oil. And now this is different from Moses laying a hand. This one is oil, but still more or less the same. Samuel's instructions to Saul. Okay, this one goes to 26. Okay. When thou art departed from me today, then thou shalt find 2 men by Rachel's sepulchre in the border of, remember Rachel's? in the border of Benjamin at Zelzah. And they will say unto thee, The asses which thou wentest to seek are found, and lo, thy father hath left the care of the asses, and sorroweth for you, saying, What shall I do for my son? Then shalt thou go on forward from thence, and thou shalt come to the plain of Tabor, and there shall meet thee 3 men going up to God to Bethel, one carrying 3 kids, and another carrying 3 loaves of bread, and another carrying a bottle of wine. And they will salute thee, and give thee 2 loaves of bread, which thou shalt receive of their hands. After that thou shalt come to the hill of God, where is the garrison of the Philistines. And it shall come to pass, when thou art come thither to the city, that thou shalt meet a company of prophets coming down from the high place with a psaltery, and a tabret, and a pipe, and a harp before them, and they shall prophesy. And the Spirit of the Lord will come upon thee, and thou shalt prophesy with them, and shall be turned into another man. You see this part here. This is what I'm talking about. Look at verse 6. And the Spirit of the Lord will come upon thee, and thou shalt prophesy with them, and shall be turned into another man, shall be activated. Verse 7, And let it be when these signs are come unto thee, that thou do as occasion serve thee, for God now is with thee. That's a different person, eh? Verse 8, And thou shalt go down before me to Gilgal, and behold, I will come down unto thee to offer burnt offerings and to sacrifices of peace offerings. 7 days shalt thou tarry till I come to thee, and show thee what thou shalt do. Be trained a bit. And it was so, that when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, God gave him another heart. And all those signs came to pass that day. Another heart activated. Verse 10, And when they came thither to the hill, behold, a company of prophets met him, and the Spirit of God came upon him, and he prophesied among them. Activated. And it came to pass, when all that knew him before time saw that, behold, he prophesied among the prophets. Then the people said unto another, No, see that this is crazy. What is this that is come unto the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets? When you are activated, it becomes very weird to other people. Verse 12, And one of the same place answered and said, But who is their father? Therefore it became a proverb as such. Is Saul also among the prophets? Verse 13, And when he had made an end of prophesying, he came to the high place. And Saul's uncle said unto him and to his servant, Whither went he? And he said, To seek the asses. And when we saw that they were nowhere, we came to Samuel. And Saul's uncle said, Tell me, I pray thee, what Samuel said unto you. And Saul said unto his uncle, He told us plainly that the asses were found. But of the matter of the kingdom whereof Samuel spake, he told him not. Why? To preserve the prophecy until the right time. It's very important, because maybe the uncle would have stirred up hatred before very event of between verse 17 and 27. Now let's look verse 17. And Samuel called the people together unto the Lord to Mizpah, and said unto the children of Israel, Thus said the Lord God of Israel, I brought up Israel out of Egypt, and delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all kingdoms, and of them that oppressed you. And ye have this day rejected your God, who himself saved you out of all your adversary and your tribulations. And ye have said unto him, Nay, but set a king over us. Now therefore present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and by your thousands. Verse 20, And when Samuel had caused all the tribes of Israel to come near, the tribe of Benjamin was taken. Verse 21, When he had caused the tribe of Benjamin to come near by their families, the family of Matri was taken, and Saul the son of Kish was taken. And when they sought him, he could not be found. Verse 22, Therefore they inquired of the Lord, Father, if the man should dare to come thither. And the Lord answered, Behold, he had hid himself among the staff. Verse 23, and they ran and fetched him thence. And when he stood among the people, he was higher than any of the people from his shoulders upward. And Samuel said to all the people, See, him who the Lord had chosen, that there is none like him among all the people. And all the people shouted and said, God save the king. God here has taken someone from the least and made him to the top. This is how the kingdom of God works. Verse 25, Then Samuel told the people the manner of the kingdom and wrote it in a book and laid it up before the Lord. And Samuel sent all the people away, every man to his house. Verse 26, And Saul also went home to Gibeah, and there went with him a band of men whose hearts God had touched. God had touched these men to follow, because now Saul now is activated. It's like you have a pooling of people behind you. And we'll teach more about this, because there are those who are operating in the kingdom of darkness who also have such kind of following. And then there are those who are operating in the kingdom of God, of light per se. Like this is a good example, people following in that manner. That's why when Jesus in the New Testament had many followers as such. Because God have touched them now. Okay? Activated them by virtue of Saul. Verse 27, But the children of Belial said, How shall this man save us? And they despised him and brought him no presents, but he held his peace. Because he was a different person. Right? Excellent. Next section will be 1 Samuel chapter 16. Let's finish with the book of Samuel, then we can jump into books of Kings. 1 Samuel chapter 16. Next 10 minutes, let me see whether I can finish that. 1 Samuel chapter 10. Sorry. Samuel chapter 10 verse 1 to 26. We've done that. 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 13 to 18. Yeah. Chapter 16. Verse 13 to 18. This is after now God has rejected Saul. Now Saul is deactivated. Now look at what happens, because now here is when David is being made king, or we are now touching King David and stuff. 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 13 to 18. And the Lord said unto Samuel, How long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thine horn with oil, and go, I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. Already now God has chosen David. And David doesn't know. Samuel knows. Your case might be before God. God knows your case, and He's sending Samuel to handle it. So never you lose faith in God, no matter the situation, no matter the hour. You understand? God knows everything. Verse 2. And Samuel said, How can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. And the Lord said, Take an ephah with thee and say, I come to sacrifice to the Lord. Wisdom. And call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do, and thou shalt anoint unto him whom I name unto thee. So here the activation is by way of anointing. Verse 4, And Samuel did that which the Lord spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, Comest thou peaceably? Because they knew how unactivated Samuel in the spirit is, right? And he said, Peaceably, I come to sacrifice unto the Lord in peace. Sanctify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called them to the sacrifice, the sons of Jesse. And it came to pass when they were come that he looked on Eliab and said, Surely the Lord's anointed is before him. But the Lord said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as the man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. It's very important. Of these places, there was the most humble of the all, and that man was David. Okay? The measure of the heart is important to God because it helps, it is what locates God to a man. We look at how Moses was or how Abraham was, very key people. Even this Saul, before he fell. It's a game of humility, and this is what pushes people up. We'll teach more of this when we read the book of Solomon. Of Proverbs. Okay, verse 8 of this chapter. Then Jesse called Abinadab and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, Neither hath the Lord chosen this. Then Jesse made Shammah to pass by, and he said, Neither hath the Lord chosen this. Again, Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, The Lord hath not chosen this. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all thy children? And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. This is a mission of God. It will not end until it is well satisfied. Verse 12, and he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, very radiant, and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he. Does David know? No. But the character of David is very good. Verse 13, Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. The mission has been accomplished. Now look at what happens between 14 and 23. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul. Saul became deactivated. What a terrible thing to happen to a man. And an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. Again, this is very interesting, so that you know God is a creator of all things. This evil spirit is from the Lord. Okay? The hand of God is involved here. It's like when you reach the book of Job, chapter 1, which we will read for you, where you have the conversation between God and Satan. And actually God allowing Satan to do a few things that harm to Job. So it's very interesting. These torments are from God. There's a reason why he does it. And verse 15, let's proceed. And Saul's servant said unto him, Behold now, an evil spirit from God troubled thee. Let our Lord now command thy servants which are before thee to seek out a man who is a cunning player on an harp. And it shall come to pass when the evil spirit from God is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. And Saul said unto his servants, Provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of the servants and said, Behold, I have seen a son of Jesse the Bethlehemite, that is cunning in playing, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and the Lord is with him. Important part, the Lord is with him. Verse 19, Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said, Send me David thy son, which is with the sheep. You see, it doesn't matter where you are on earth. So far as you have the right heart, God touches you, God activates you, you'll be located by anyone, especially any people in power, because you have the solution for them as given by God. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread and a bottle of wine and a kid, and sent them to buy David his son unto Saul. And David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer. If you want to find favor with kings, find God, seek ye this kingdom, then these other things will be given unto you. Then you will find favor with the king and with the rest of the people. Okay? Verse 22. And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, Let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he hath found favor in my sight. Why? He's an activated David. Verse 23. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. It's like an insurance. David has to play, you have to be okay. If you bring the spirit, so that David can remain. And this is also a learning lesson for David, being trained, and also God is also measuring David with Saul. Because if David falters, then he will have, because Saul is like training, he's been put there to train David how to deal with the kingdom. It's trying him. It's like a temptation as well, because there's so many events here will come when we look at them. Okay, I want to go to chapter 6. Okay, chapter 19. Sorry, 1 Samuel chapter 19, between 12 and 24. So we can finish with 1 Samuel. Then I'll jump to the next video. Chapter 19, verse 12 to 24. Michal's deception. So Michal let David down through a window, and he went and fled and escaped. And Michal took an image and laid it in the bed, and put a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster, and covered it with a cloth. And when Saul sent messengers to take David, she said, He is sick. And Saul sent the messengers again to see David, saying, Bring him up to me in the bed, that I may slay him. And when the messengers were coming, behold, there was an image in the bed with a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster. And Saul said unto Michal, Why hast thou deceived me so, and sent away mine enemy, that he is escaped? And Michal answered Saul, he said unto me, Let me go, why should I kill thee? Verse 18. So David fled and escaped, and came to Samuel to Ramah, and told him that Saul had done to him. And he and Samuel went and dwelt in Naioth. And it was told Saul, saying, Behold, David is at Naioth in Ramah. And Saul sent messengers to take David. And when they saw the company of the prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing as appointed over them, the Spirit of God was upon the messengers of Saul, and they also prophesied. Activation by way of nearness, osmosis, or encounter. Same territory area, same air, same atmosphere. Verse 21. And when it was told Saul, he sent out other messages, and they prophesied likewise. And Saul sent messages again the third time, and they prophesied also. It's like a mockery to Saul. Then went he also to Ramah, and came to a great well that is in Shechem. And he asked and said, Where are Samuel and David? And one said, Behold, they be at Naioth in Ramah. And he went thither to Naioth in Ramah, and the Spirit of God was upon him also. You see now God, the Spirit now is again upon Saul and against Paul. Alright? And he went on and prophesied until he came to Naioth in Ramah. And he stripped off his clothes also, and prophesied before Samuel in like manner, and lay down naked all that day and all that night. Wherefore they say, is Saul also among the prophets? So now also people are wondering. Okay, so I had to put that there just to show you how when someone is activated by a spirit, they become different in that manner. Okay, I want to partition this section so I can jump to the next video because of space. So the next one will be 1 Kings chapter 1, verse 32 to 40. Okay.